Good morning, folks. This is Jacob Folger, artist and sculptor. And today we're going to make a dragon on this rock. And in preparation for that, we need to paint it. So we're going to use Utrecht Studio Series acrylic in deep black, and of course you can use any kind of paint for this, but the stone definitely needs to be painted in order for it to be okay for the clay. A piece of paper here to work on. Set this aside. You don't have a whole lot of room here. I'm going to put the paint on this watercolor paper, and I'm going to put the cap back on my paint. Just bear with me. Okay, I got this stone online, and I was buying a lot of them because I do a lot of rock art actually. And I like doing my sculptures on it. It is acrylic paint. It's not going to hurt you, so if you get it on your hands, that's okay. But you want to paint the stone and probably paint it a couple coats, and then we'll come back. So before we continue, I want to show you this painting that I did this morning. And I did a tutorial for it. I actually painted the background, which is blue and green and white, with a palette knife. Then I added the snowy hill in white with a palette knife, and then I used Posca markers, which is an acrylic marker, is acrylic paint, and I painted the tree like that. That's how I got the nice wispy little lines. And then when that was all dry, I took a palette knife and put in little drops of red paint. And it really was a fun painting, and I have a tutorial for it. Will be live probably in the next few days if you want to watch for that. I do a lot of tree art and landscapes and interesting things, so you might want to look at that. So we have our stone painted now, and we have to do something to get it to stand up. So the way I do that is I take a little bit of clay like this, and I'm going to roll it in upstream into a ball, because there's more room upstream than there is here. And then what I do is I decide the orientation I want the stone to be in, and then once I decide that, I take the clay and push it onto the back of the stone. And this is Sculpt 3 that I'll be working in. That's my brand of choice, and it is the only brand I've ever used to sculpt on stones. So I don't really know if whatever brand you're using is going to work on stones. So what I do is I blend it in really good, so it's kind of like one with the stone. See how I'm doing that? I'm blending in with my thumb and kind of creating, basically making it one with the stone. And then what I do is I hold it down onto the table and press down, pressing down on the clay so it becomes flat and stands on its own. See how it stands on its own now? And I just form the clay down, and if you look at it from this end, you can see that I've created this basically flat area for the stone to be able to stand up on its own. And that is also part of the form of the art. We want it to be very nice and blended and smooth and, you know, really a part of the stone. We want it to be a kind of a beautiful thing. We don't want it to be chunky and bumpy and icky. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So you can see it's all nice and smooth and part of the deal. And so now the stone can stand on its own. And then all you have to do now is bake the stone. I'm assuming you're using polymer clay, Sculpt 3, and you bake it for half an hour at 275 degrees. So preheat your oven to 275 degrees, put it on maybe an oven-safe dish, and bake it for half an hour, and you'll be good to go. And we'll come back. So while we're waiting for our dragon stone to bake, I want to show you this painting I did on a rock. And in the near future, I will have a tutorial on how to paint rocks. There's another one I did. And yeah, a lot of fun. And these, you could put little devices on the back and turn them into necklaces and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And also, I've got something else I'm going to show you. This is a little fairy, mushroom fairy house that I made with 2 mushrooms joined together, a little doorknob, and a little pathway leading out. And I'll be doing a tutorial on that pretty soon. And also, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on a mushroom fairy gnome, somewhat similar to this. Also, a fairy house. Right here's a fairy door, steps leading down, mushrooms, and there's a little pathway going around. You can see it's very detailed in miniature. These are in polymer clay, but you could definitely sculpt these in some polymer clay. It's just that, you know, when I'm doing really small detail work, I don't want to have to cover my work. I want to be able to take my time, and if I want to take a break, I can just lay it down and come back to it whenever I want. With self-hardening clay, you have to cover your work, and, you know, it's a lot more involved. So I try to do my miniatures. I tend to do them in Sculpt 3 polymer clay. So, just some really good stuff coming up. So please subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get a notification when I upload a video. And yeah, we get some good stuff going on. Okay, we're back with our rock, and this is what it looks like. And so now we have to sculpt our dragon. So, I don't have a lot of room here. I'm working, my camera is between me and the subject, and you're going to have to bear with me. Some of the things I'm going to have to do off camera because there's just not enough room here. So I'm going to talk to you about the clay. So this is Sculpt 3 in black. It's my, I use it because I like it, and the finishes I do for the most part look really good on it, so that's why I use it. When you're conditioning it, I find that twisting it like this and stretching it is really a good way to get it to, you know, loosen up and get conditioned, as opposed to like doing this. So it will get a lot softer, a lot faster by stretching it and twisting it and that sort of thing. So once you've done that, we need to roll a ball of clay, or just by going back and forth like this, until we come up with kind of a larger part here for the main part of the body, the neck and head here, and the tail here. So go ahead and do that. And then what we're going to do is take, whoops, there goes my picture. We're going to take the dragon and position him on top of the stone, and with a twisting motion, kind of pushing down, we're going to kind of seat him on the stone, or her, however you want to refer to her, and kind of seat her on the stone so that the main part of her body is pretty secure on the stone. And then I'm going to bring her head up, kind of in a very nice fluid motion, kind of looking up like that, like coming down, curving, and then I'm just going to gently push her into the stone, like this, so she's really becoming now part of the stone. And then I'm going to take her tail, and again, with a fluid motion, I want it to be, I want to have nice, smooth lines where she joins the stone. So I'm going to maybe do something like that. And gently, not flattening her now, just kind of push her into the stone. Push the tail into the stone. So it's going to look something like that. You see? Now another thing you can do to get her to stick really good to the stone is to just take your finger with your thumb and just take a little bit of that clay around her tail and blend it in with the stone. And you'll have to do it all the way around, but you can see what I did in the back here. You see that? What I did in the back? So that just secures her to the stone a little bit. And now you want to make sure your tools are very clean. If you have any self-hardening clay on them, clean them, wash them, get them good and clean. And the first thing we're going to do here is her eye. So I'm going to use the back of a small paintbrush, and I'm going to put a little hole right there for her eye socket. Now I'm going to take a very small piece of clay, very small, and put it in, whoops, and this takes some patience. I'm going to put it into the eye socket like that, and then I'm going to take a tool like this and put a little line there for the pupil of her eye. Now this is extreme miniature, and it's literally kind of hard for me to work like this with the camera in the way there, but I'm going to try my best. So I'm going to make a little mule of clay, and I'm going to put it over her eye as her eyelid, and I'm just going to press it gently into place. This clay at this point is very soft, and when you put one piece to another, it just sort of melts into it. So, storing and any of that kind of stuff is absolutely not necessary at this point, okay? I'm not going to do a lot of detail on her face. The face is so small. I'm just going to do very minimal amount. I'm going to put a little bit of a hole here for her nose, and that's it for her face, okay? Now what we want to do is roll little balls, small little balls. This is really too big. We want to make little balls and roll them really small and make shapes like that. And that is going to be for her scales. So we'll make several of those, just a bunch. You make a whole bunch. You roll them, and they're kind of sharp at the ends, and that's what they look like. Make bunches of them, and we'll come back. Okay, we got a bunch of scales made. Now we're going to take a small little bit of clay, a ball. We're going to make a ball. Let me just move her back a little bit. And we're going to roll it so it becomes a point like that. And we're going to squeeze it and form it into a shape like that. So it's this for the spade of her tail. And I'm going to place it on her tail, like that. And I want it to kind of, her tail curves around and the spade just sort of goes off in a nice little twist with plenty of nice artistic form. We don't want this chunky, bumpy. This is going to be a very smooth and very beautiful dragon, so we wanted the spade of her tail to be really nice, okay? So just try to do that. So it should look something like this. Okay? Now we're going to apply the scales. And the way to do that is let's take a longer one for the first one. Put the scale on her, up onto her spade, and onto her tail, and then apply another one on top of it, like that, and just keep on going. Let's see, up the tail, and trying again to keep nice artistic form as you do it. Try to keep it nice and flowing. And again, the scales are so small and they're so soft at this point that really you don't have to do much. You just lay them on and they will stay very nicely. So let's do that and then we'll come back. Okay, so now that we got the scales to about this point here, we want to form a shape like this for her leg, her back leg. So the way you do that is you take a small ball of clay. Let me get a little more here. Take a small ball of clay, roll it into kind of a teardrop like that, and then you bend it like that, and then you kind of pull out so that her knee is kind of pointy because she's a dragon, she's not a human. So to get her back leg is going to look a little bit different. And then you just kind of have nice artistic form, and you apply her leg to her body and blend it in. And you can use a tool if it's easier to do that, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I blended her hip into her body and have the leg coming down like that here, and I took a sharp tool and made an indentation where it kind of goes up to the about to the top of the knee. And now what we have to do, takes very close detail. The way I do this is I hold the stone right up to my eye and I slowly put the pieces together. And that's how I have to do it, and I can't do it in front of the camera, so I have to show you what I'm going to do, and then I have to do it and then show you what I did. That's how we have to do this. Okay, so you roll 3 little tiny pointy things and place them on her foot and onto the stone. And we'll do that and come back. Okay, you can see how I did that. I put the little toes on her feet, and I put a little bronze on them because sometimes the camera has trouble picking up the black clay, and I hope that you're getting this because I really want this video to work out. It will be a very beautiful dragon when we're done. Now, so we've got the foot on there. Now we want to make another foot. And this is a little bit different because the front foot is just different. And you can just roll a little teardrop shape, really pretty small, kind of like this. And then I'll apply it and come back in a minute. Okay, you can see how I did the leg there. And you can take like a golf tool and you can blend her leg a little bit into the stone to get it to stick there. And then you want to make really small little toes, like we did for the other, really small ones, and apply them like you did the other foot. And trying for artistic form. So you can see now the toes are on there. And I blended them in gently, put a little bronze on there so you can see it good. And now we'll continue with the scales going all the way up and stop right about here. And I'll show you why we do that. Let's do the scales and come back. Okay, so now we're going to do something that I always do with my dragons, almost always, I should say. We're going to roll a needle of clay. And we want it to be sharp at the ends, like this. And then we're going to fold it in half and carefully twist it. So it looks like that. And then we're going to put it on the dragon's head like that. And that by itself will be the last scale. And then you can blend it with a ball tool, a small tool, into the top of the head and just gently lay it on there. Kind of like a shape like this. And then we want to take our thumb and forefinger and shape it so it kind of has this ridge along the top. And I kind of feel like this is maybe too big. Let me just make it smaller. Oh, it's going to be something like that. I'm not sure. This might still be too big. No, we can try it. So just apply it to her body and then we'll come back. I have to do that off camera. Okay, so you see I applied it to the body and just brought it down in a flowing motion. And, whoops, attached it to the rock. To the rock. And, yeah, so kind of got it going on. Now, to really make the wing pop and look really nice, we want to, again, roll a bunch of scales and we're going to put them on the wing. And so, let's roll the scales and come back. Okay, so now we're going to apply the scales. And so I just have it coming down onto the stone. And then maybe blend it into the wing like that. Put another one on. Like that. Okay. Like that. And just to give you a nice visual on that, you can see how that should look. And then you can, stop at this point maybe. And now we can do a finish. And what I like to do, I mean, you can do your dragon any way you like, but I like to use the Pearlite's Pigments Reflect Violet for the body of the dragon and then highlight it with the bronze. It looks really nice, and so I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, so we're going to work on the finish now. Before you finish, you might want to go around, pick your ball tool with your fingers, and just make sure that everything looks secure and is blended in where it needs to be. And if you want to smooth it, you can take a very small soft brush, and you can brush them with water, very light, little bit of water. I wouldn't use alcohol on a piece this small. And just get them the way you want them, and then just make sure you're happy with them. And then you can take a small brush like this brush here. I have some water off to the side. I use water often to get my colors to go on. I have reflex violet pearlite pigments here, and just gently paint him or her. The nice thing about the purple, the reason why it's so beautiful with the bronze, is that it is a darker color. And the bronze, when it, let's say you do the body of the dragon in purple and you do the scales in bronze, there's a lot of contrast, and the finish just looks gorgeous. And so I found myself frequently doing my dragons in the purple with the bronze highlights, and you'll see that in a minute once I finish here. I'll get a bit more water, dab it on the table. And then apply it. And we can talk about how we'll do the stone in a minute. But so we get that like that. Now the dragon is primarily purple. And I have bronze here off to the side. I'm going to dip my finger into it, swirl it with my thumb to kind of get it to be a little bit more subdued, and then I'm just going to go over and highlight most of the scales, the eye, and the spade, and you can see how that really just pops. I mean, just really looks quite beautiful. Now you can take, we'll do the stone in just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to do the stone, and what I'm going to be using is a product made by Golden GAC 100. You see me, I use it a lot, but you don't have to use that. You can use varnish, you can use another acrylic product, you can use paint, you can use whatever you want. I mean, you have to apply it somehow, and that's just what I use, and it doesn't take much, and a bottle lasts forever. I go through a bottle maybe once every 5 years, and I mean, it's just really a great product. I put it in the cap. This product dries clear, and that's what you want. You want it to dry clear. And then I'm going to be using antique bronze. I have it in a cap off to the side here. And I'm going to get my brush a little wet with the GAC 100, and I'm going to dab it off on the table and just get it kind of, I don't want it soaking wet, I just want it kind of damp with the polymer. And then I get the bronze on my brush and I dab that off, and then I just go in with the little brush and paint the stone. More bronze. While I'm painting this stone here, I want to show you guys something. I also do tutorials on how to take sculptures and art creations that you learn how to make here and elsewhere and turn them into 2D art. And here are a few examples with the dragon that we made today. And just to give you an idea. So if you'd like more information on that, I will put a link in the video description to one of the videos that shows how to do this sort of thing. So just look for that. It'll be marked as fun computer art or something like that. It is done on a computer, but the learning curve is very low and it's a lot of fun. So if you think you'd like to learn, check out that video. Thanks so much. Now for those, I mean, I will tell you, I say pretty much that all my videos are for beginners. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, why not? Why can't you, as a beginner, make a beautiful dragon? Well, I know that you can because people do it all the time. People send me pictures. I've made a few videos with people's sculptures that they've made and put them up on my channel. And so I know that people do it. I mean, it's just, you gotta start somewhere, and you might as well start on something really beautiful than something that is substandard or chunky or easy to make. It doesn't, I mean, you might as well just start up doing something that takes a little bit more and more work. I definitely would say this is for beginners, but you know, you might want to do your sculpture on clay on polymer clay as opposed to a stone. Doing a stone is definitely more. There's a lot more involved and a lot more that can go wrong. So definitely it can be problematic, but I mean, a lot of people will look at this and they won't even know it's a stone, but you know it's a stone. So, I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing to combine clay with stone. So, I like doing it, and it's fun, and there is a texture to the stone. You can see it's quite beautiful, so yeah. Now I do feel bad that I had to do a lot of this stuff off camera, but unfortunately, really, I had a really nice camera, and this person stole it from me, and I have not been able to find a good camera since, and so I'm using my clunky DSLR, which is not really set up as a video camera to do it, and there's so little space. This is right here is where the lens is, and there's this much space between the camera lens and the subject, and there just isn't enough room, and also to kind of crane my body around and be able to work that out. It's kind of hard. I know you don't want to hear my complaints, but I'm trying to provide really quality content and help you learn, but unfortunately I have limitations. So I hope this was helpful. I think we made a beautiful dragon. If you would like, give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, share it on social media, spread it around, let people see it, and leave me a comment, and I will try to reply if I can. Keeping in mind that I do get a lot of comments. I have a lot of videos, and I get a lot of comments, and sometimes it's hard to respond to everyone. If you would like to ask me specifically about some things, you can email me, and my email address is in the About section on my channel page at Jake Folger. Let's just talk about baking for a minute. With Sculpt 3, the way I bake now, I don't really follow the directions of Sculpt 3 anymore. For a piece like this, I'm going to bake it for a half hour, and that's it. I have done hundreds of pieces of Sculpt 3 creations and bake them for a half an hour, and they're doing just fine, I assure you. So a half hour is enough for sure. No, the stone is not likely to crack or break. No, you do not have to seal the dragon. You can if you want, but you don't have to seal it. But when you apply the finish to the moist or soft clay, when you bake it, it bakes into the surface and becomes permanent. So there's no reason to seal it or anything like that. Would you put this outdoors? I wouldn't, no, because it's art, and art doesn't really belong outdoors. So if you want to put it outdoors, it's probably going to get messed up over time. I would not. It's up to you, although, and you're going to do what you want to do. So, and I think that about covers it all. Well, thanks so much for watching, and if you like this kind of content, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can get notifications when I upload. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.